That's cool. Perfect.
All right.
So we see, you see the screen, all good.
We see it, buddy. We see it.
Excellent. Right, let's move this to. Let's minimise this actually. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so I wanted to show you a simple kind of way of illustrating. Um, I've seen a couple of guys do this. How to sort of structure your profits, structure your wealth, structure your portfolio. You know, it's all about forward thinking. It's all about where you're going to be in like 3, 4, 5 years time, and then like we were just discussing, where people come into all this money, whether they become famous overnight and start earning millions in endorsements, or whether they win the lottery. You know what, how to manage that money, and really how to manage your emotions and keep everything in check. And so something that I've seen done a few times is this. Let's see if I can draw it. So let's get that on there, and then let's do something like this. Yeah, cool. Wow, look at that straight line. Not. Yeah, that'll do. I'm pretty certain that you guys will have seen something like this as well. Pyramid scheme. No. Yeah, some sort of. Right, let's structure it like that. And there you go. So, for me, in terms of how I view my wealth and view how I, manage my money and where I put it and how I divvy it up, and what you do when you start making big profits and start seeing decent returns, and you start saying to yourself, okay, so at the bottom here, this is probably most people. They've got at the bottom. They've got the cash, right? So it'd be nice if I had a whiteboard and I could just write this. But yeah, let's do this here. So we got. Can't hear anything. It's cracking. How about? Is the sound okay? Sound quality okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can see you.
Okay.
I'm pretty good. My manage by
Yeah, well, that's all right. Then see if.
the world.
Yeah, exactly. Or top.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, that's your cash, right? So your cash might account for, I don't know, one, for me 1% to I don't know, 3%, because that's the sort of returns that you might be getting in a high interest account. So say you've got your money in a savings account, you're earning not very much, are you, at the end of the day? So this is where you keep the bulk of it, but you want to make it work for you. So what do? You perhaps want to try and earn some sort of a passive income. That could be from buying stocks and shares, and buying a little portfolio of maybe some defensive stocks and shares. That could be some crypto in there as well, and then maybe that will give you some sort of income each year where you can maybe account for, I don't know, 5 to 10% of your money. So basically, what we're trying to say here, and what we're trying to give you is a bit of a wider thinking. So like, you're making money from your trading, okay, and you start looking at these guys on Instagram, and some of them are marketing themselves and buying Lamborghinis and all the rest of it. But those that have got a bit more of a business acumen and a bit more business minded, or those that are just those of you that are a bit more common sense, and you think, well, I want to buy a house because you don't have a house, or you want to, I don't know, save up for something a little bit more tangible. You need to be thinking income, and how you're generating interest. And for me, the biggest portion of this is going to be up here at the top, and it's going to be trading, because that's what I've learnt over the years. So predominantly like forex and indices. This is going to be for me in accounting for, I don't know, 25 to 25 to maybe 50% of what I'm doing on a regular basis. This passive income as well you could be saying that this is like if you had a house and you rented it. So some people, they'll buy a house and they'll say, okay, I want to live in that house, but unless the house you're buying it at, say, I don't know, 200,000, and then it goes up and it's worth, say, 300,000, and you've spent 30,000 on it over a period of, I don't know, a year or two, then you're currently sitting on unrealised profit. It's only realised if you sell it, and that's probably worth about 70k profit, which you could maybe do something with. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people have probably got the biggest debt of their lives in terms of a mortgage, and are probably paying however much they're paying, £700 a month on the mortgage. Then you've got all your gas, electric, other bills, right? So it's not an asset until you sell it. It's actually a liability. And people need to understand that when it comes to property, because people say, oh, I'd rather just buy property than trade. And I've thought it's important for people to kind of understand, you want to get into trading because you want to be able to make a living out of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be making millions and millions and being like a Sean Lee or somebody where you're just getting investment and able to trade massive lots. I mean, if you could do that in 5-10 years time, great. But trying to be realistic, where you're at, this is a sort of structure you need to have. However you want to structure it, you can write down on a piece of paper. But for me, my money, my main income is from trading. So this will count for the bulk of what I do. In terms of buying a property, well, property I have in terms of somewhere where can be classed as a second home, a holiday home, because of everything that's been going on with the lockdown. So it's not an asset. But if I was to buy other properties and rent them out, then that's what you should be doing if you can afford to do that. So take some of this profit here, and at the end of each year or every 6 months or whenever you do your accounts, and say, right, I've got all this profit that I've made. What are you going to do with it? Where are you going to put it? So maybe put it into stocks and shares. So you could have another section here where you are basically putting it into, I don't know, the top end, because this is all money that you've got, right? This is all money that you're earning. Okay, and this is not secure, but it's a little bit more certain, because it's stuff that you've put in place. So then you've got the top bit, which you've got all this extra income that you can have a flutter with. You can afford to take risk. You can afford to lose it. And so maybe you could put a portion of that into some high risk investments, maybe some startups. Maybe 20% could go into investing in startups, more established businesses. You could do that, for example, so into startups, or I don't know, like I say, new ventures. I know a lot of you probably think, well, this isn't relevant to me, but what I'm trying to get you to do is think that this is what you want to be doing. This is where you want to be in your life. This is where you want to get to in 3, 4, 5 years time. You want to be able to earn enough from your trading that then you've got this surplus cash, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, what am I going to do with it? Where am I going to put it? So having a business model, you might argue that it's too soon because you've only got like $100 in your account. The idea there again is like, well, okay, you might only have $100 today, but in a year's time you might actually, with this kind of hindsight thinking, forward thinking, and this kind of planning, give you this create a journey for yourself, create a roadmap where you want to make this a reality. Because at the end of the day, we all have to start from somewhere, and any millionaire or billionaire that you see out there started from down here, from zero. They got some cash, and they've just made that cash work for them, and they weren't satisfied with just leaving it in the bank to earn pittance, annual interest of like 1% or so at best. So then they said, okay, well, what if I could get some money, grow my trading account, start earning a regular monthly wage from it. So thankfully we have these prop firms now that are giving you free money to trade with, so to speak. So maybe it's going to give you an opportunity to get a leg up, which allow you to start earning bigger money. So this will then start accounting for your bigger income. So then when you start getting the extra income, you want to say put it into buying a rental property and start earning money from that. A yield of like maybe 5 or 10% a year, or 20%, or whatever, and then maybe put it into some other ventures. Maybe your cousin or friend is opening a I don't know, a business, a restaurant, or whatever, and you think, actually, I want to be a shareholder in that. I want to be like a private investor. Whatever the thinking is, but basically getting you to think that way. That's, by you imagining and visualizing and saying, that's the kind of person I want to be, that's where I want to be in 5 years' time, you'll make it happen. If you don't think about these things, then you're basically you're blind to your future. We can't predict our future, but we can sure as hell try and visualize what we would like to do in our future. And it's not good enough just to write a trade plan and say, I want to buy a Lamborghini because I see it on the internet. That's not planning. That's dead. That's very immature. You want to be looking at structure and forward thinking to safeguard your future, so that maybe you can retire by the time you're 40 or 50 years old, but retire comfortably. So then, at the top here, you can afford then to take some investments into crypto. So a lot of people have been buying that hype and losing money, really, trying to trade crypto. And I thought it was important that we do this today, because I wanted to say, okay, crypto should be seen as an investment. So use a company like Coinbase to maybe take some investments, buy some crypto altcoins and hold it and see how you get on over the next 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah, exactly, Jules. So best way to predict the future is to create it. That's what I'm trying to say. So, take some time out. This is all about the 80-20 personal development, self-development journey, where you're spending 80% of your time doing this sort of shit, as opposed to, I've got to look at a chart and I've got to trade and I've got to put a trade on and lose $10. And it's just, that's fine, but that should account for a fraction of your day-to-day way of working, really. And it shouldn't dominate. This sort of stuff needs to be, and it's very hard to kind of take time to do this stuff, because I know a lot of you will sort of sit there and think, this is all a waste of time. I haven't got the money. So maybe in about a year's time, I'll look into it, and that's fine. I'm not saying you have to do this now, but what I'm saying is, it's food for thought. And wouldn't it be nice if you were in this position where you could actually then say, okay, I want to be able to create a portfolio, and in my portfolio I want to have some defensive stocks like utilities, gas, electric, stuff that doesn't really fluctuate from year to year, but it gives you a bit of a dividend each year. And then maybe some other higher risk assets. So crypto is one that's been performing really well over the last 3 months, and rather than try and trade it and get stopped out because the spread is some ridiculous 100, 200 pip plus spread, you can maybe buy some and hold it, but only as a higher risk. And for me, this has been performing really, really well, because I bought some and have a portfolio, but it was only after I'd done all of this that I said, okay, I'm comfortable to do it. And I see some other traders out there did the same thing, and I thought, well, actually, yeah, I want to share with my community that I'm a part of, and communities, and get it out there and say, look, this is what I think you should do with crypto. So maybe chuck 10 to 20% of your wealth into this, and see how it goes, because we are starting to see some wild numbers. I mean, JP Morgan today just said, we can see crypto becoming mainstream, and so Bitcoin might be worth 160k this year, go up. And sure, I mean, anything's possible. So wouldn't it be nice to have some money invested in this sort of stuff? And so that's the thinking, really. So yeah, it's basically, I wanted to share something along the lines of this pyramid structure, and say, okay, I'm making money here, and how do I make the money? Well, we can make it from your forex trading, from maybe your prop firms. If you're making 8-10 grand a month, or 5 grand a month, what are you going to do with that 5 grand? Are you going to spend all that 5,000, or are you going to just continue paying your bills, which might account for like £1,000 or £2,000 or whatever it is, and then leave you with like 3,000? What are you going to do with that 3 grand? So knowing where to put it. seek some financial advice, perhaps. You know, and yeah, maybe compound it for the first 12 months, which is what I did say. So, you know, in the first year, it's about building yourself a solid position financially, from where you can launch yourself and start delving into other bits and pieces. But this is giving you food for thought, because this is how I view the world, or this is how I view the financial world or the financial industry. How to make money, how to use the money that you have to work harder for you to make more money. And it's not about being greedy, but it's about not being wasteful, you know, and having that kind of a business acumen and that business attitude, which is going to land you in good stead and carry you forward for many years to come. And I know a lot of our guys out there are in their 20s, so it's the perfect time to do it. I mean, I started a private pension scheme when I was 21, and I was just initially chucking like £100 or so into it, which was a fraction of my wage. And then I started adding more and more and more, so that I would have a little pension pot in by the time I get to sort of 55. And how many people have done that when they were 21? How many people have even thought about it? And you know, we hear about this all the time, don't we? And at 21, what do we know about the world? So for anyone who has the benefit, or who's been fortunate or blessed enough to have money, or for those of you that have come to this forum community and are looking to learn about trading and everything else, it would be nice to give you a little bit more thinking out of the box than just giving you a trade call or signal and saying buy here, sell here and make 50 pips. It's about then, okay, you've made your 50 pips. What are you going to do with those 50 pips? How best are you going to make them work for you? Because that's part of your journey, right? And I'm not a financial advisor, but I have sought that sort of financial advice in the past, and I come from a financial background, so it's just second nature to me. But I realise that a lot of people out there, they're not from this sort of background, and so it's just a bit of food for thought. So I hope you find that helpful. Sorry about my dodgy drawing and my unclear information maybe, but yeah, hopefully it gives you an overview. My stuff's very basic, and it's just to give you a bit of a simple insight into my life, how I think, how I trade, how I spend my money. You know, do I buy property? Yes. Do I spend it on pointless, overpriced cars? No, not really. Have I? Yes, I have. But do I make a habit of it? No, I don't. I certainly don't then take a nice car to a shop to have it wrapped in a different colour, or upgrade the alloys just because it's fun to do. I mean, you could do it, I suppose, but I appreciate that a lot of people that do that on Instagram are just, you know, they're marketing to you, aren't they? So, and you know, whatever. I hope you find it useful, and basically the message is to be constructive in what you're going to do for the next 3 to 5 years, and try and think beyond 3 to 6 months, because that has been the message for coming from a lot of you traders. 2 months, 3 months, and it's not enough. You're not thinking enough ahead. You know, dare to think ahead. Be bold and think ahead, and say, okay, in 3 years' time I want to be at this position where I've got this spare change. I can chuck like 500 quid a month or £1,000 a month into other interests, other business ventures, crypto. You know, we hear about these dragons that are out there that help people start up their companies for a share, for a percentage of their profits, and for a percentage of the business. And there's no reason why you can't be that person, why you can't be like that as well, or even just take money from what you're earning and directly put it into another venture. But yeah, diversify, create a portfolio of wealth, and that's gonna sort you out for the long term. And you know, give yourself 5 years. That's medium term investments. That's medium term thinking. 3 to 5 years. 1 to 3 years is short term. 3 to 5 is medium term. 5 to 10, you know, anywhere around 10 or above is longer term planning. So it's never too late to start, but hopefully that gives you a bit of motivation as well, and a bit more of a hunger to say, okay, I'm going to start being sensible and use common sense and make some money, and then not just give it all back in a month's time because I overtraded or got bored. And now more than ever, it's going to be quite a challenge because a lot of the world is in the lockdown, so you're going to be sat in front of your charts, in front of your screens. You're going to be overtrading, or you're certainly going to be tempted to overtrade. And all best intentions, all best laid plans that you've made for the start of the year, they're probably going to go out the window after the first few days, or first 3 days, or first week or 2 weeks. And I touched upon this yesterday, and I said, give yourself this month to try and view what you're doing as like a diet. Stick to it. Don't give up after 2 weeks. Don't start letting your bad habits creep in. See if you can be consistent in how you trade. So if you're risking 1%, see if you can do that consistently for this entire month. See if you can do the same thing every day for this month. And when you get to the end of the month, tally it all up, keep your trade journal, and take it from there, and take it, and do it that way. Hopefully that's been helpful. So I'll leave it there, and yeah, all right. Thanks for letting me waste 20 minutes of your life that you'll never get back on sharing stuff that you probably find nonsense.